Previously, my new team and I conquered Railway Refraction 5, my first ever time trying the boss rush like game mode. Now though, we're ready to take on the obstacle that is the Mirror Dungeon. Make no mistake, I've planned for this. Recipes, ego gifts, theme packs. I'm taking no prisoners here, as I believe this is going to be our hardest challenge yet. Mirror Dungeon 6 is interesting. There's this new starlight system, and it kind of acts like a difficulty level. You could take no graces and make the run super hard. Or you could take all of them and even level them up. Following that, you can start with extra gifts and even search for specific theme packs. I decided that I would take all the graces, but I'm not going to level them up. I think it's kind of like a medium difficulty level. I'm also not going to take any extra gifts by searching for them, but I will obviously take the 3 that you start with. We take the 3 charge gifts and the unloving pack for floor 1 to start off this epic journey. This pack contains a crucial gift we're going to use in a fusion as early as possible. We want as many gifts as possible, so we take every question mark event on the way to the shop. In the first shopping phase, we grab some basic sinking and charging pieces, but the standout was actually sticky muck, which lets Kodia and Mola Ishmael apply defense down across all of their skills. Before we get onto the boss though, in hindsight, I think I should have opened up the ego gifts sort of list between every single fight. I'm going to do my best to edit and show you the highlights, but in future I'm definitely going to open that list at the start of every fight, so you can see every single ego gift that I've got up to that point. Our rewards are Frozen Cries for a fusion, and Grey Coat since it's tied to the least threatening trial, before pack searching for the pink shoes from the automated factory. For the first fusion phase of the run, we create black sheet music, aiding in sinking application and more damage. We create a handful of tier 3 sinking gifts, which we ultimately fuse into our next tier 4 sinking gift, Impending Wave, which aids again in more sinking application but to multiple targets, as well as the unique ability to apply reflux, that causes targets to take gloom damage based on their sinking potency. It also gives offense levels up, empowers negative coins, empowers positive coins. This is a really strong ego gift. Floor 2's rewards included the much needed Haunting Shoes, and once again I took the trials that felt the least dangerous. Our next theme pack was Degraded Gloom, as there really wasn't a good option, and if in doubt, pick the option with the highest tier ego gift as a reward. Plus, Rick and Invite is actually used in a very useful charge gift. Shopping phase 3 allows us to immediately fuse Hoarfrost Footprint, which not only again applies sinking to all enemies, but causes them to lose clash power. The drawback is our team now starts the fight with sinking. Normally this would never be an issue, but when you're running IDs like Kodia and Queen of Hatred Dawn, well, quite often they're at minus 40 SP. This small sinking stack could cause them to become corroded if they lose a clash. For our final tier 4 sinking gift, we created Artistic Sense, giving a much needed boost to our damage. As planned, we grabbed Illusionary Hunt and Sarik and Invite as rewards, and sadly choose Time Killing Time for our next floor. Now I really didn't want to do Time Killing Time or Motwe again. We've just had the event and I've run these dozens of times to try get all the rewards. But at the end of the day, needed ego gifts are needed ego gifts. We purchased Nebulizer as a way for our IDs to get poise before fusing the charge type gloves, increasing our max charge count as well as giving all allies a needed boost of charge at the start of the fight, and a small amount at the start of each turn. But for our number 1 ID, Queen of Hatred, a new buff called Near Light Super Battery, and this actually empowers her attacks to a whole new level. This buff has a max stack of 100, and is gained by consuming charge count, or when allies consume charge count, or if they gain potency. For each 10 stacks, Don will deal an extra 10% damage, and enemies gain 0.1 resistance against Don's attacks. And remember, as a recap, resistance in this game is just a multiplier, so while it sounds bad, resistance is going up is actually a good thing. We ended up fusing the charge barrier gift, and our next shopping spree resulted in us picking up the missing piece for our next tier 4 fusion, T1 Perpetual Motion Machine, giving all allies a charge barrier, damage up, offense level up, attack power up, and extra charge potency when consuming charge count. Since we already own Material Interface Force Field, we don't need any of these gifts, which actually lets us entirely focus on picking the safest trials. Brutality is a big no. If you see this, do not pick it, unless you really want the Eagle gift. I opt to take Headstrong and Body Up, as I believe those are our best choices here. For the final floor of Section 1, we opt to take Season of the Flame, as I really like Rusty Coin on Reindeer Honglu for his skill 3. This shop sequence allowed us to make another important charge gift, Tier 5 Perpetual Motion Machine, providing the team with more charge count, increased min-max speeds, attack power up, damage up, and another unique buff called Self-Resonant Circuitry, providing more damage based on the sum of charge count across our allies and the cumulative charge count consumed by allies. Now it's time to work towards Lunar Memory by crafting the Tier 4 Blunt, Pierce and Slash gifts, but this will take another floor or two to finish. Unfortunately, Rusty Coin is tied to the Brutality trial, but I take it anyway, as I've not had many hard trials yet, so how bad could one Brutality be? Right? We also take Dust to Dust because it's once again the least scary option. Floor 6, the Heartbreaking, has a really nice looking reward in a Tier 4 Sinking gift that actually wasn't on my plan, but we'll take it. We've used the final Tier 4 gifts for Blunt, Slash and Pierce to keep our IDs competitive in clashes. And that's another Tier 4 Sinking gift for us, in Refraction Glass Pod, dealing gloom damage based on sinking potency. The other gift we pick up is Lightning Rod, but here I honestly didn't know if Keen or Resilient would be a better option, and truthfully, I'm not actually sure it matters. On floor 7 I chose Unrelenting Might, and this is for absolutely no reason at all. I mean, I had to pick something, and there just really wasn't any good options. We fused Clear Mirror Calm Water. Despite our IDs being unable to generate their own poise, gifts can actually provide enough for this to not only be viable, but an incredibly strong and beneficial gift to any run. It increases allies' critical hit damage multiplier, and provides offense levels up if poise count is consumed. And it was at this point during the editing and the scripting phase I just wanted to scream at my monitor. We've been able to fuse Lunar Memory for quite some time now, and yet for some reason I'm just not. Lunar Memory is a gift that is excessively strong, so it should be on your priority list really early, but for whatever reason, I just decided not to make it. Gift rewards don't really matter much at this stage of the run, so I took Resilience and Growth, aiming to avoid buffs that increase enemies' base power, clash power and coin modifiers. Offense, defense or HP boosts, they don't really worry me anywhere near as much. Enemies leveling up though can be quite scary, so the lower we can keep that, the better. We actually pick up a new theme pack here for the Compendium. After some upgrades we finally fused Lunar Memory, and this gift flips all the enemy resistances to Fatal, both type and affinity. While this gift is exceptionally strong, the gifts you use to make it are also very strong. So in my opinion, once you have Lunar Memory, you should absolutely start working on these once again. In my case, I rebuilt Blunt for Queen of Hatred Dawn and Pierce for Kodia. What these gifts do is provide more damage for those damage types, but more importantly is the base power and the coin power they provide. So make sure you fuse these gifts again once you have Lunar Memory. Again, the gifts at this point don't really matter, but the trials this round are really unforgiving. Everything that I've been trying to avoid is here, and we're going to have to take something. Resilient is an obvious choice, and since I couldn't decide between the other three choices, I took the one that gave the enemies the least levels. Despite so many Murder on the Warp Express runs recently, I just couldn't resist another charged themed pack. And during the shop, nothing really stood out, so we upgraded what we had before moving on to the next floor. For this floor I took Final Power and Growth, but I'm fairly sure the better option would have been Keen and Growth. And by this stage of the run, all of my shopping sequences are buying whatever enhances my IDs, whether it's Blunt, Pierce, Poise, before spending all my gold on upgrading whatever gifts haven't been upgraded yet. I have since been told that it's actually possible to fuse keywordless gifts when you have all of the gifts of a certain category, so next time I'll have to try that. And with that, our team has conquered Mirror Dungeon Infinite. And when I came up with the idea of this series, well, we didn't have Mirror Dungeon Extreme. So that's the end of the run. Thank you for watching, and roll credits. Hello? Where's the outro? And what's this strange new message? You didn't really think we'd leave it there, did you? Now I do have to apologise because I asked you all for your advice on a poll, and I do feel like by doing it this way, I have gone against what the majority of you voted for, so I apologise for that. Now what you just watched was the Infinite Clear, so I have to catch you up very quickly on Extreme. Just like before, I took the base level for every grace, no extra gifts from Gift Search, and floor 1 went as planned with half of the Hoarfrost footprint being acquired. But on floor 2 I got distracted by Hell's Chicken, and learned the hard way you can't search for haunted shoes past floor 2. On top of that, I forgot to fuse the Black Sheep music. So at this point in the run, we are already down 2 very important ego gifts. Floor 3 throws us an incredibly early tier 4 slash gift, but it does require us to beat Bamboo Kim, something I was told to avoid when using a sinking team. We cut down a depressed samurai anyway, turning him into a pile of blood and claiming our reward. Except we had already gotten it from an event just before the shop. What? And don't look too hard on my ID's health pools. We might have had a very unfortunate fight early on this floor. Floor 4 gave me another free tier 4 gift through line 2, plus a symbol suggesting that either it boosted my ID levels or the enemies. I'm not entirely sure which. Floor 5 is yet another free tier 4 gift, but more importantly, the Rusty Coin, which as I mentioned earlier is great for Hong Lu. We fuse a really early lunar memory, although I don't have the resources to make the ego gifts back. Thankfully, a refresh from the shop actually gives us the Pierce gift, as well as Sticky Muck. Floor 6 we opt to take another Bamboo Kim fight, for a tier 3 sinking gift and another tier 4. We have all the gifts that I care about, so I actually start stacking whatever poise gifts work for our build. Floor 7 we grab the Unchanging and put down some more very depressed bosses, before grabbing the pinnacle floor of depression in the Heartbreaking for floor 8, rewarding us with the fantastic tier 4 sinking gift that I once again forgot about, and did not plan on picking up. Floor 9 would take Sinking Deluge, where I discover a boss I've never actually seen before, Portrait of a Certain Day. And floor 10 we go with Excessive Gluttony for the 4-leaf clover, another poise gift that does work with any team. When the 10th floor boss fell, we were prompted with another pop-up, offering us to take challenges for extra achievement XP. I did take Inflation, but realised afterwards you don't have to take any adversaries, so I opted not to from here on out. For my first ever MD run, I honestly just wanted to win, and with that, you're all caught up. And this is where things get a little bit more tricky. Or well, they're supposed to. Floor 11 we went with Merry-Go-Round, the current railway refraction, and this is where you're going to start seeing ego spamming. Now I'll admit, it felt really cheesy doing this, but then I realised, well, it's in the game, it's part of the game, that's what the resources are there for, that's why I've been building them up. And up until this point, I've been purposely not using egos wherever I can. So we've got a lot of resources built up to hopefully carry us through the rest of the run. We were greeted by Section 2, which I honestly think might have been the worst outcome here. The enemy IDs are sat at over 1,000 life each, and they're going to do a lot of damage. But as I said in my railway video, who said we even need to clash? Just fire off some big AoE egos, stagger the enemy, something extra, and profit. This is also where I discovered that both Land of Illusion and Fluid Sack are single coins. So thanks to Rusty Coin, they get to proc twice. I would also like to point out on floor 11, Positive Sanicodia is still winning clashes. And yes, I've kept her in Positive Sanity intentionally. She is a lot more tanky in this form, and she actually draws aggro away from Don, who gets to fire off her ego unopposed. Wave 2 is a bit scary. Kuro Heath hurts a lot, but I am stunned that I can even take a hit at this level of Mirror Dungeon. Don one-shot the entire wave. So let's just do that again. Over 13,000 damage. I truly believe we can do this. Now I don't want to go too heavy on ego usage. We still have several floors to go. So I decided to do this fight normally, and somehow we are actually winning the clashes. The trials on extreme level are honestly terrifying. I don't want to take any of these, as they're going to make the rest of the run extremely difficult. But Keen and Body Up look the best, so that's what I take. We also go with the Bridle of Infinity for floor 12, simply because it looks cool, and we make it to the shop with ease. But we're finally starting to see clashes going in favour of the enemies. So the strategy of getting as many unopposed attacks and praying for either stagger or just to tank the damage begins now. What was once one of the easiest fights in the game is now one of the hardest. And that's because this boss is actually unkillable for many turns. But by allowing Don to fire off skill 3 back to back, the enemies remain staggered and unable to do anything. So a few turns later, and we win the fight. Wave 2 is against a shock centipede, but these back-to-back fights just give us the opportunity to get all of our stacks going. My IDs have over 10 charge potency, and Don is reaching close to 40. Heathcliff wins a clash using Lament, and everyone else goes in for the kill. Wave 3 is against a boss that reminds me of one of the earliest episodes of solo leveling, but we're so stacked up that actually, we're dominating in our clashes. Except Ishmael, but she's still able to dodge the enemies really well. A few turns later and this floor has been conquered. Floor 13, I choose Pitiful Envy. We bump into some of the middle squad, and initially I was really worried about this, until I came up with the idea of offsetting the defense and firing off an unopposed ego to obliterate the entire screen. The boss though has a lot of health, but we do a lot of damage, though not quite enough. The boss remains unstaggered and hides away in a portal after staggering Don, though thankfully this was the perfect turn for him to do so, as he can't follow it up and kill Don. You see, if Don dies, I need to reset the fight, and thankfully up until now, I haven't had to do this. We set the whole team to attack one target and abuse Wild Hunt's free unstagger mechanic to tank the damage, though the counters cause us to lose our first IDs. The next turn though, we finish off the boss. Turn 4, I pick Tangling Lust, but I'm really nervous. Most of the bosses here would be fine, but if we were to get Quixote, that generally could be the end of the run. We have bigger problems. The solo leveling fight is back, and we have finally reached a point where a single mistake results in the death of an ID. We can no longer take free hits without consequences, and actually we lost this fight, many times in fact. I figured this was it. This is as far as we go. Now don't get me wrong, we got further than I ever expected to, but being this close to the end, it's kinda heartbreaking. The enemies are just too tanky, our IDs don't do enough damage, and making one error, well, that's somebody dead. So I figured if we're gonna lose, how about we go down on our own terms? I corrode Don and fire off a big ego. No, next turn she's gonna wipe out my whole party. But in that moment, I see something. A sparkle twinkles in the distance, a glimmer of hope shines through. Look at the damage Don has dealt. We can actually do this. And seeing Don accidentally clash with a floor 14 enemy and come out on top, I feel reinvigorated. Victory is within my grasp. I reset once more to get the best possible RNG, and not only does the team prevail, but nobody is dead. We get to the boss and thankfully it's not Quixote. We cannot clash against it at all, don't get me wrong, but there are unopposed attacks to target. The boss has a huge HP pool, and we are going to take some serious damage here. But so long as Don survives, we will be okay. Faust got staggered unfortunately, so no healing for us this turn. But everyone's surprisingly healthy. We overclock Don's ego turn after turn to make full use out of the charge and sinking tier 4 ego gifts. But disaster strikes. Don took a big hit, being staggered in the process. If it wasn't for painkiller and first aid kit, she'd be practically dead. I accidentally overclocked Fluid Sac when I went to heal up the team, but the damage was pretty decent. And although we do really good damage, we take a load in return, killing Kodia. But it doesn't matter, the battle is already won, and for the final floor I'd decide to go with Sunken Gloom, because we've had a string of depressing fights up to now, so why not finish it on the most depressing note possible. Every fight on the way to the boss is extremely hard at this point. The first one we encounter doesn't allow us to redirect attacks, and we cannot win a single clash. But by overclocking Don's ego, we got really lucky and managed to get an unopposed attack. And now, on the final floor of the run, she is still winning clashes with her skill 3, one-shotting the enemies that stand before her. We pop some fluid sacs to keep people alive, before using the last turn to prep Don into regressed form. Something that turned out to be a massive mistake. Our next hurdle is a group of mermaids, and again, we cannot control where the attacks go. And the biggest issue, Don doesn't win the clashes. We are going to be forced to corrode her. Be kind. It takes a few resets, but eventually Dawn gets 2 uses of her ego on her corroded turn, meaning she will live. It's guaranteed. And thankfully this is the last fight between us and the final boss. We spend all of our remaining money on reviving the main squad and healing everybody to as close to max sanity as possible. If we are to stand a chance against winning a clash, we're going to need our sanity to be as high as possible. And the final boss is Earl King Heathcliff, and I cannot tell you how happy I am. One, because he's super depressed and somehow we got stuck on that from the start, which funny enough fits sinking quite well. But 2, he has SP. We've already won the fight, and it's not even going to be hard. Dawn will use her corrosive ego every turn, one-shotting his henchmen, while everybody else whittles down the boss, nuking his sanity enough for Ishmael to actually successfully dodge his attacks. But how about we make this a little bit more interesting, and let Dawn be the only survivor of this tale. When we finally stagger the Earl King, we go for 4x envy resonance, and a skill 3 from Dawn to push her into regressed form. From here we can use a corroded ego to give her the opportunity to hit minus 45 sanity, fully corrode, and wipe everybody out. Even my own squad. I guess you could say it's revenge for carrying them so heavily to the finish line. So those aren't staggered, we might up. Nobody but Dawn survives. G. And there you have it. Be honest, did you think I was going to manage to beat Mirror Dungeon Extreme? Because I sure didn't think I was going to beat it. Once we reached floor 14 and that difficulty spiked as much as it did, I thought that's it. This is over. But once I saw the damage from Dawn's ego, I was really confident we were going to beat it. This was a really fun project, but I don't think I'm in any rush to do it again, as it took almost 5 hours. But the next part of this mini-series will be Dawn's attempt at a solo run. My goal is honestly just 5 floors, but I'm not going to stop until she cannot push any further, even if that means we somehow go to full 15 floors, though I really doubt that will happen. But until then, thank you all so much for watching, thank you for listening, and I'll see you all again very, very soon. Bye bye.